motivated you to attend?
In actuality, I try to lead my life with just listening to the voice of God. And we're not having church in our actual building right now. I have a Church of God in Christ, and our bishop has said that we're not having church in our actual building. So on Sunday, I'm home. But God speaks to me. He said, daughter, I want you to go to the courthouse to pray. And I'm like, okay. He said, and he gave me instructions on what to wear, what to take, and what to carry with me. So he said, get up, get dressed, put on a white skirt, wear your t-shirt that says, I believe God. And he said, put on a pair of black pants up underneath. I had no idea, why would I have on a pair of black pants up underneath a white skirt? I take posters with me that says 2 Chronicles 7:14. Then I say peace and love. And the other thing that I wrote on the posters, what he gave me was, one knee exposed racism, but both knees will break racism. And I'm like, okay. So I did what he said to do, and I carried those items and a cooler of water to bless the police officers and the peaceful people that may have been there.
Wow.
And I showed up.
You were basically on assignment from God.
I really believe that. I really believe that.
So when you arrived, what was the atmosphere like? What were the people? What was the demographic of the crowd?
Well, I would say this as well. Prior to me leaving my home, I live 45 minutes away. So prior to me leaving my home, because I am a retired real estate investigator. So with that, I understand proper protocol. So I call the sheriff department and I say, hi, this is Dr. Delane Smith. I would like to come to the courthouse to pray. She said, okay, no problem. Let me notify the lieutenant for that area. So she called the lieutenant, kept me on hold 15, 20, gave him my information. And when I arrived, Charlene, I get there, I take a selfie with one of the officers.
Wow.
And then I pray for 3 of the other officers. I pray for them and offer them water. They're in their cars, and I'm going past the cars. Sir, God bless you, be safe. Sir, God bless you. Can I pray for you? He said, yes, ma'am. I said, sir, be safe. God bless you. I prayed for 3 other officers before I stepped on the steps of the courthouse.
Wow, that's amazing. So you would never imagine how this was all going to turn out because everything was going so well. So what was the crowd like? I mean, were they angry? What was the crowd like?
No, to be honest with you, I think I probably was the oldest person there. There may have been 3 people older than me, but there were approximately, and I'll be 57 in 30 days. So when I arrived, there were approximately 400 people there, and nobody believed this. But this crowd was approximately 50% African American and 50% Caucasian. And there were a few Hispanics in the crowd. So as I stepped on the steps of the courthouse, I dropped my belongings off on the steps of the courthouse, and I walked back toward the crowd. And there's a video, I'm doing this Facebook Live. And I said, do you mind if I pray? One of the young girls walked up to me, she said, this is one thing about millennials. They know social media. So when I said, can I hold your bullhorn to pray? They passed me the bullhorn, and someone else said, may I take your cell phone to continue your live?
Wow. Wow. So
I was blown away.
I saw the video of you praying. It was powerful. And one of the things I loved was you were encouraging the crowd, the protesters, to be peaceful, yes, to not break anything, to not be violent. You know, talk about why it was important for you to convey that message.
Well, I wanted to convey that message. Number one, I'm a licensed realtor. I specialize in new construction. I couldn't see anyone standing before one of the houses that I have under contract and burning it over a protest. I couldn't fathom that. So if I was not going to allow them to burn any of my clients' new construction homes, I felt like, because I sell in Jacksonville, I felt like it was my duty to take a stand. I don't know where the strength come from, but I stood and I said, no, God promised me where my feet tread, he'll give me the land. We don't burn cities. We don't burn buildings. We don't destroy property. And all of a sudden I jumped in this mode of mother. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be all of y'all mamas today. And as a result of the prayer, I literally, Charlene, I'm praying for the president. I pray for my governor, Ron DeSantis. I pray for my mayor. I pray for Mayor Curry. I pray for Sheriff Williams. And then I command the audience. I don't know how they listen. I said, but listen, we will not say no justice, no peace. I said, the power is in our tongues. They say, yes, ma'am. I said, promise me you're not going to burn anything. They say, yes, ma'am. I said, promise me you're not going to destroy property. They say, yes, ma'am. I said, okay, now this is what we're going to say. They listened very quietly. I said, we're going to say, we want justice because we have peace.
Amen.
We want justice because we have peace. They start chanting it.
Wow.
And I said, okay, you guys go in peace. I'm going to be like David. You go do what you do, but you better do it peacefully, because I'm going to remain to the steps of the courthouse and I'm going to pray. And they left off with a peaceful protest.
Wow. I mean, so at what point did police, get involved? I saw on the video where they were telling people to leave or to push back, get back. What was happening? What was going on?
Well, in Jacksonville, we have a lot of bridges. So as they left the courthouse, now keep in mind the jail is only 5 minutes from the courthouse. So as they proceeded past the jail to go over what I call the Blue Bridge, they go over the bridge, and my understanding, they made about face and came back. Mm-hmm. When they came back from the bridge, and Charlene, I want to add this. What I discovered later is it's not the peaceful protesters and it's not the police officers. Someone in almost every city, and it happened here, they are strategically placing blocks of loose bricks downtown in every city of bricks, so that if the protesters or the officers or whoever gets so angry, the bricks are already there. So people were coming back and saying, Mr. Lane, by this time they know who I am. Another point, I don't know a soul on the steps of the courthouse. There's 400 peaceful protesters. I called for my goddaughter only because she's a soloist, and I knew she could sing without music. So I called my goddaughter Joy. I said, just come meet me here. I'm authorized, and you could just sing. She said, Mom, I don't have a speaker. Don't worry about it. We'll sing a cappella. We're good. So when they went to the bridge and came back, prior to them returning back, on my video, Charlene, the police officers come back to the courthouse where I'm standing. There's only 6 people on the whole property of the courthouse. That's myself, 3 reporters from our local news who was exiting, and a white couple. The police officers drive up in a golf cart and they start grabbing all of the protesters' water. And they were taking the water and throwing it on the back of the cart. That's in my video. You can hear me say it. And then I video him to him, and I said, sir, why are you taking the water? When they retrieve back, they're gonna need their cool water. They said, you cannot pollute the courthouse. This can't happen, this can't go. I said, sir, I promise you, I will retrieve all of the water and clean up the courthouse. So when you see my face leave my screen, I'm leaning down and picking up water and walking over to the trash bins because I was trying to remove tension.
Wow. And I heard you saying in the video, telling people go home, because it seemed like it got a little heated.
Well, the reason it got heated is because the officers, when they didn't have an excuse by having water, litter on the lawns, I removed that excuse. Mm-hmm. So when they returned back to the courthouse, the officer said, okay, that's it. This is now considered an illegal gathering. I said, sir, how can this be considered illegal gathering when they have a permit and I call? So I leave the steps of the courthouse. I walk into the street where the officer is. I said, sir, may I please have clarity? That's on my video. Why are they being asked to disperse? He said, because I said it's over. And that it is a legal gathering. He looks at me and tells me, well, he goes on his PA system, which is attached to his clothes. You must leave. This is a legal gathering. I said, sir, may I use your PA system to speak to them? No, I can't allow that. Had he allowed that, I promise you, no one, there were 58 people that were arrested that day.
Wow, including you.
Let me say it like this.
Like for you when I heard him say, put your hands behind your back, and he handcuffs you, you're arrested. What was going through your mind when you were being handcuffed?
What drove to that is I was able to get 350 people off of the lawn. I said, sir, please tell me, give me a pathway. Charlene, I need to give you this picture. When he's telling me I have 10 minutes to get everybody off of the lawn, 350 people obeyed me, and they're going this way. They're going. There was one mother. People think that when I said, go home, mama, that I was talking to an African-American female. I was not. She was a Caucasian female who was in her 60s, and she was up in the face of the officers, telling them, I know my rights. I don't have to go home. You hear me say, go home, mama. By this time, Charlene, I have on my left approximately 200 JSO officers. On my right, I have approximately 200 to 300 SWAT team dressed in uniform. And I have another 200 to 300 National Guard Army soldiers dressed with rifles and armor and handcuffs and boots and mace facing me. So I have everybody coming in at me like this. So all I could see, and I know my family and everybody is texting me while I'm live, and they're saying, Delane, go home, please go home. My kids were, Mom, please go home. This crowd, please go home. All I could think of, if I was not there, what would have happened? So the last lady I was trying to free, which was the older Caucasian female, they grabbed her and she said, they're gonna hurt you. And you'll hear this in my video. I said, they won't hurt me. I don't know where that boldness came from. I said, they won't hurt me. And the officer was so angry that I saved 350 kids. Wow. That he walked up to me, he said, you had your chance. You're now under arrest. And he pointed to one of the officers. He said, arrest her. He put Ziploc handcuffs on my hand behind me. In the video, you will see a red something on my shoulder. That is a folding chair that you take to football games. They're escorting me out handcuffed with my strap purse and a chair on my shoulder, and behind me is my cooler as I was trying to get everybody off of the lawn.
What were you thinking in that second that you were arrested?
I was so speechless. I said, are you kidding me? I am the one that has controlled this crowd. I am the one. I haven't even had time to cry. I haven't even had time to realize the danger my life was in. He put me in handcuffs and those zip ties so tight that my hands were swollen for almost an hour. And I kept saying, sir, this is what the officer said to me. You should have left when you had a chance. We're JSO and we don't play. I said, sir, I'm a retired real estate investigator. My father was a police officer. I would never have been treated this way. I have a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. Yeah. So when they escorted me out to the car, I hear this young lady screaming. And I look over at her, and all I can see is her blonde, pretty white hair just flowing. She's standing and shaking hysterically. She said, ma'am, please don't let them arrest me. Please, please. I'm a college student, and I have no family here. My mom is in Virginia. And I said, what's your name? She said, Deanna. But it touched my heart because my name is Delane. And when she said Deanna, I said, baby, by this time they snatch her, put her in handcuffs.
Wow.
And walk us both out, Charlene. Put us in a paddy wagon. I'm talking about a paddy wagon that's like a dog pound truck. With this paddy wagon, only 4 people could sit on the bench. So initially it was she and I, and on the other side of this wall are 4 men. They arrested a homeless man who was asleep, and they snatched him up out of his sleep. So he woke up in a rage.
Did they take you to jail?
Charlene, not only did they take me to jail, I'm a fashionable person. I love fashion. God said, put on a long white dress with a t-shirt. Everybody that knows me, they know I hate t-shirts. So every t-shirt that somebody give me, irregardless of what it says, I'm gonna cut it up and bedazzle it. I'm the bling queen. So I have on this t-shirt and this long white skirt, looking like a really missionary. They take me not knowing, and I'm begging. I've asked 10 times, 12 times. These cuffs are too tight. Man, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Charlene, they intentionally took me out into an open field for 2 hours when I know the jail is only 5 minutes away. After an hour, they make me step out of the van, me and the other young lady. They take the Ziplocs off of my hand and then put me in gang chains. They arrest me and put the chains on my hands, and it's like a T-shape. One of the most humiliating things is for a woman to be arrested with chains around her ankles. So then they say, hold your legs up. So I hold my legs up and they chain both of my ankles. So now I have to shift and maneuver. But I'm kind of a comedian, and I think that's nervous laughter that I had. So they said, okay, now get back in the van. I'm a lady and I feel like I'm a queen. I stick my hand out and I said, okay, you're gonna make me get in this van? I stick my hand out like this, help me get in this van. That's the reason why God had me to wear black spandex up under that white skirt. It would have been even more humiliating to have been arrested with just a skirt with no pants. Whew.
So when they they eventually take you to the jail
after 2 hours.
After 2 hours in the open field, they take you to jail. How long did you stay in jail?
I stayed in jail 24 hours.
24 hours.
Okay, let me say this. People don't understand why they took me to a field for 2 hours. My speculation is they intentionally and strategically take protesters to an off-site open field, and then authorities declare curfew. Because if I'm arrested for a misdemeanor, once I get to the jail, I'm entitled for a misdemeanor to pay my bail, and I'm out in 2 hours. But if they issue a curfew, then that means no one can get bail. So they strategically come up with another law, kind of like the spirit of Haman, when people keep creating laws, kind of like the way they did Daniel when he was in the pit. They kept coming up with different laws to detain me. So they came up with another law that says curfew. So the curfew means not only am I being detained and the other 40 people, that means no one from my family is permitted to come out of their house, because they can now be arrested because they're violating a curfew.
What a story. Thankfully, what I understand, what happened yesterday, all charges against you,
yes,
dropped.
Yes, thankfully, with Prophetess Francine and Norman reaching out to Representative Kimberly Marie Daniels, which she is an awesome, powerful woman of God. Kim Daniels is the demon buster. My son was her praise and worship leader, and my daughter-in-law is her praise and worship psalmist. So when they all reached out to Kim, she's like, I know delay. Kim cried all night long. Anybody that knows Kim Daniels, Kim doesn't cry. Kim's gonna fight before she cries. Kim cried all night long for me. him call me. She coached me. She said, woman of God, we're going to get you out. We're going to get you out. My sister, the young lady that was in the paddy wagon with me, the little blonde, she was 20-year-old college student. We go to jail. Charlene, this is the other thing. Now that I'm at the jail, the officer, the Hispanic female officer, looks at me and said, oh, I just saw your live. How does the police department know that I'm doing a live and they're not my friends? What they do is they go in and track everybody's phone that have anything to do with adversity that they feel like is threatening, and they watch my live the entire time. The sad part about it is when I got there, the other young lady that was in the van, she had green or blue hair. They broke her arm. The police officers broke her arm. So the thing that I want the world to know, Black lives matter, my life matter, minister lives matter, George Floyd life matter, but those white kids' lives matter. Out of 40 people that was arrested, out of that 40, there was approximately 10 or 12 African American, but there were over 30 white kids who were not only arrested, but they beat those kids so bad. One girl weighed 126 pounds. I try not to tell the story, but it just, you know, I talk about it now, but she was 126 pounds. And one of the officers stomped her so bad that when she got to jail, she had a boot print on the right side of her face. And I could look at her arms when we were sitting in the common area once I checked into in the jail. They said, nobody will be going home tonight. I said, officer, can you explain? I become the spokesperson for the women who's been checked into jail. And then they call me preacher lady. They said, that preacher lady, oh my God. I know we were protesting, but that preacher lady was just praying for us. That made them that much more angrier when they get to jail.
Wow.
But this is the worst part. The worst part, they wanted to make my stay so miserable. They refused to give any of the protesters who were arrested mats to sleep on. So I want you to imagine, I'm sleeping on a bunk bed that's like a meat cutting table because it's made out of metal. So they give me a sheet, a blanket, one towel, one bath cloth, and a small little package. And they say, you can't wear your shoes. And I want the world to know, I am a retired real estate investigator who has never been arrested. I am a mother. I am a law-abiding citizen. I am a realtor of 16 years with the GRI, which is a graduate in that. I respect, my father was a police officer, and for me to be treated that way was unlawful in an environment where we have rights to protest peacefully. And they did protest.
It was a peaceful protest. And I know that, we see in some places there's been looting and,
That's correct.
Even some have even lost their lives, which we, certainly are against. But what is your message at the end of the day? They've dropped the charges. Are you bitter? I mean, what's your heart feeling right now?
Actually, I'm not bitter. I think I'm better. Because as a preacher and as a minister of God, we are so busy going to church that we forget to do ministry. And what God did was he gave me my compassion back. He gave me my passion back for women that are not as educated as I am. He gave me my compassion back for not just for my Black sons and not to be able to protest just for Black men, but he gave me my passion back that I have taken this white female who is a blonde as my adopted daughter. So I told my attorney, they said, we're going to let you out of jail on your reconnaissance. But the reason they did that is because my attorney, who was hired and taken on by my god sister, Brenda Prostel, they come in and tell me to speed the story up. We're going to let you go. You can be released. They detained that as well. The other thing they wouldn't do is because protesters were in jail, Charlene, they refused to allow the women who were already in jail. They said, because these protesters are protesting, you will not take showers for 3 days. How do you deny women showers for 3 days? You will not have showers. You will not have phone calls. You will not have visitors. So as soon as they say, you can come into the common area, if you guys are okay, we'll let you have showers. So about 1 o'clock, they said, we're going to let you have showers. Then they say, this is how they call you. Oh, let me say this. I'm sitting in the common area now, and the young lady is showing me her cuts, where she at one time cut herself. And she said, I can't be in here. I have a therapy cat at home. She's a 19-year-old Caucasian female. Her mother did drugs. Her father is no longer there. And these kids, they listen to me, I believe, because they listen to the voice of a mother.
Wow.
And as a result of that, I told my attorney, thank you for bailing me out, but I'm not leaving this child. I'm not leaving Deanna. I've adopted her as my daughter. I'm not leaving Deanna. She has no family here. Her mother is in Virginia. I'm not leaving her. I said, can you represent her? He said, yes, ma'am, I will. Now keep in mind, I'm supposed to be out.
And you're still
but I'm not leaving.
You know, I think back to the fact that you say that God told you to go to the protest. Can you look back and see, what would you say, looking back, is his reason for you going? And the fact God already knew that the arrest was going to happen.
I just heard God say that I was manifested peace. Woo, God, I've been trying to find that answer. And I just heard the voice of God when you spoke that to me. He said, daughter, you are manifested peace. He said, daughter, you will walk in peace. As a prophet of God, when I open up my mouth, God said, when I open up my mouth, he used my voice. I am so grateful that God chose to use me. I am the walking Mary Magdalene. I needed to save those kids.